How is it going, boys and girls? Welcome back to Key West Waterman. My name is Aaron Young. It's a slightly okay day out here. It's a little windy. It's supposed to die off this afternoon. Today's agenda, try and catch you up to speed. I've got John from Koa, you've met him before, and James. We are doing some R&D today. So we've been working on a Bluewater gun to add to the lineup, specifically a Wahoo gun. And they were kind enough to bring some guns down, and we're gonna try and put them in the water and pull the trigger at least. Hopefully shoot something. We're out in the Bluewater area. It's a little green, not exactly what I want to see, but we're out here. We've got guns, and we're gonna give it a try either way. You know that. So we're about to get set up. We're gonna do some drifts, see if we can get lucky. Maybe, hopefully, have a Wahoo sighting. But that's the name of the game today. R&D. I'll see you in the water. Welcome back underwater, everybody. As always, we'll talk through some of these dives and scenarios, and I just wanted to bring you up to speed on a couple things. I actually was going to cook at the end of this video, but I'm sitting in here editing, and I realized I didn't really go over the gun much. So at the end of the video, I'll go over the gun and the specs on it a little bit and what it is we're trying to achieve. Like I said, we're coming out with a Bluewater model. We've got the Grover, which is inshore, shallow water. The Banana Gun 2.0, which is reef. And we wanted to get a Wahoo gun because we shoot a lot of Wahoo down here. So first thing I do, if you ever have a new gun, get a new gun, you need to shoot it. Just not even at the fish. You don't want to shoot it at a fish your first try, especially a prize fish like a Wahoo. You'd be amazed at how many people I've seen jump in with a Wahoo gun the first time and shoot it at a Wahoo. Like, you need to fire it, feel the recoil, feel the balance, just feel the gun in action, reload it, run through everything. So that's what I do here. Obviously, make sure you're in the clear, you're not shooting at anything, but just wanted to shoot the gun, see how it felt. Feel how it was balanced and all that. So that's what that was, just a test fire. And run through reloading it a couple times. Like I said, the more familiar you are with it, the better you're going to be when it is a high stress situation. There's actually a fish, something's going on. You know, even if it's in a pool, not necessarily fired in a pool, but unload it, you know, run through everything just so you're comfortable as can be with it. Alright, so first drift, got out of the water, just wanted to shoot the gun. I always recommend, if you have a gun you've never shot, just shoot it. It doesn't even have to be at a fish. Just shoot it, see what it feels like, see what the kick feels like. But the water was really dirty. It's weird, it's like a hazy 50, just a lot of what we call snot in the water. But we're gonna move down a little bit and see if we can find something a little bit cleaner. Give it a go. I've seen one fish the entire day. If I see anything, I'm shooting it. So fast forward about maybe 5 hours, 4 or 5 different spots, a lot of running, just it wasn't happening. We finally found some decent water. You can see here, this is, and the camera does a really good job at showing this. This is about 90 to 100 feet. We're on the edge of a roll-off, and you can see the bottom. So we finally found some nice water. Started to see a few cirro mackerels. I really just wanted to shoot the gun, not necessarily shoot a Wahoo. I wanted to shoot it at something that I was going to eat, not just shoot something to kill, but something that I would harvest. And just to, like I said, test fire it. I wanted to, you know, I was eager to pull the trigger on something and test the accuracy and all of that. And we had some cirro mackerels start to come in. And it's just like nothing would play the game. Like, we couldn't get anything at all to turn on us. We really hadn't seen any fish other than some barracudas earlier in the day, some big ones, which I'm not really a fan of eating the really big ones. But yeah, we drifted five hours or so, and but we did start to see life. Started to feel a little more positive. Water was definitely cleaning up. And something else I did want to mention, John from Koa, obviously a good friend of mine. He actually has a YouTube channel where he mainly has been doing just educational stuff until now, but he's actually going to start a series on there, From Wood to Water. And what it is he's going to show the entire build process of the gun all the way up until, and this is actually going to be a part of his episode is this day, the entire build process of the gun all the way up until testing the gun in the water and harvesting a fish with it. So I think that's super cool. He's going to show some of the behind the scenes stuff, how they actually manufacture their guns in the shop. So if that's something you enjoy, I'll put a link to his channel and a pinned comment in the description. So go over there and check it out. I think it'll be a few weeks before his first episode will be up, but be on the lookout. And this is actually a sailfish. Came in. I normally don't see them this mellow. I see a lot of sailfish, but they normally stay out and away. But this one was pretty mellow, pretty cool to see.
Oh, my heart just came out of my chest. I said my heart came out of my chest and I turned around. I thought that was it. I never seen one that friendly. We're on the struggle bus. Not a whole lot going on. Seen some zero mackerels. Actually had a nice sailfish come in. Not what we were looking for. I was gonna shoot some of the Ceros. They wouldn't pay me no mind. They wouldn't even look at me. So we're still plugging along. It's only 1:30. Wind's starting to calm down, so it's actually getting pretty nice out. But that is where we are. We haven't given up yet.
So I know a lot of you are probably wondering, we are not legally allowed to spear sailfish around here. So I think it's around 2, 3 o'clock. Just kind of getting to the point where you're getting really bored. Haven't seen a single wahoo yet. Start twiddling your thumbs and playing with stuff. And James actually decided to drive in the morning, and because it was so slow, I think he just figured he'd stay driving.
Get in the water.
And stay out of the water and until we saw something. And it was funny. John actually talked him into jumping in. He's like, maybe we need to change something. Maybe you're our good luck charm. He always made a joke about that. And I kid you not, John talks James into getting in the water, and he's in the water for 30 seconds. We've been drifting for 7, 8 hours. I don't remember, maybe more. And we changed one thing. James gets in the water, and 2 wahoo show up. It was just unbelievable. But when these fish first came in, I had just turned the camera on. They were kind of swimming towards us, but weren't really having it. And everyone always asks me, what do you do? Like, how do you treat them? And I hate to be vague, but it really depends on the fish. Some fish will just swim right up to you. Not often, but it happens. You have to engage or pursue the fish in a mellow manner. Like, you don't want to chase them, but at the same time, you do have to engage them. They're very rarely just going to swim right up to you if you sit still. So that's what I'm trying to do here. They're there. They're not taking off, fast, but they're also not coming towards me. So I'm trying to use my throw flasher, just trying to get them to turn around, distract them a little bit. But there's not one answer for what you're supposed to do. It really depends on the fish, how the fish is behaving. These fish, just for whatever reason, weren't having it. They weren't convinced. Right here, they started to kind of break up and then come back together, which makes me think they're going to get a little more excited. And I thought that they may turn, but they just weren't having it.
You almost turned on me. They're gone. All right, this is the one. This is it.
So we set back up. It's funny. It's like you get to the point where you're about to lose hope, and you feel like wahoo show up just in time to give you a little bit of life and talk you into drifting. And we set back up about half a mile down the ledge, and we jump in. There was a Cero mackerel, and like I said, I really just wanted to shoot this thing and just test it out, and definitely passed the accuracy test there. It was about a maybe 13, 15 foot shot on a 18 to 20 inch Cero mackerel, and it hit its mark, which is pretty impressive.
Well, it passed the accuracy test at 15 feet. I mean, if you can hit a 20-inch Zero with this thing, it shoots right.
So I get reloaded. We didn't even get out of the water. We just stayed there, shot the Zero mackerel, threw it in the boat, and get reloaded and get set back up. And it was funny, we were sitting there, and a little sargassum crab, I didn't have it on camera, but a little sargassum crab actually came up and was sitting on my shoulder right after I turned my camera off. Here we were in the water for 5 minutes.
There's no wind, so the float line's going to be a cluster, so just try and stay away from it. You're not getting tangled in it. Are you kidding me? That wahoo is sitting right behind me.
And this happens. We're playing with the crab, we turn around, and this wahoo is 10 feet behind our fins, but swimming away from us. And it's just so fun. They just sneak up on you. They're just these amazing, stealthy little creatures, and I don't know, it's just, the timing seems to always be funny with these things. And through that flasher, the fish came back around, and I'm flickering at it, and it's doing little half turns, and it comes close enough, and I let it go, and that new gun hits its mark.
Fish on. He was sitting right behind us. I'm sitting there playing with the crab. He was sitting. That fish was sitting behind us on the surface. My gun is wrapped around that flasher. He don't look like he's gonna run too far. Well, maybe.
So I'm gonna let this clip run raw for the most part. I'll comment on a couple things. I liked this shot. I wasn't in love with the shot. It was a little in the belly. The belly tears out a lot, but it seemed like it was high enough to where it was gonna hold. But as I always say, I was not willing to bet my fish on it. People always ask me, do you grab the buoy? Do you ride the float? Do you horse them in? If you're willing to bet your fish on your shot, you can horse it in. That's pretty wild. I thought this fish was going to stay mellow, and it realized what was going on a minute in and went crazy. But again, I wasn't in love with the shot. I was confident in it, but I wasn't willing to bet the fish on it.
He's coming at you. Just keep it in neutral.
So as always, line management. As I'm fighting that fish, I'm swimming, constantly swimming away from the line, throwing it behind me. This line is actually a stretch float line. It's from Neptonics, my favorite float line. It's 100 foot, but it does stretch out to 150. It's not a bungee. Bungee stretches 300%. It has just a little bit of stretch and forgiveness, but I think it does a great job. So again, I'm fighting it, but I'm not horsing it. Just taking what it'll give me, but when it runs, I'm letting it run.
That's got to be his last run. He didn't look that big.
He looked fat, didn't he?
I thought he looked like he was like 30.
So this is the point where you start asking, you know, do we need a second shot? And what I'm looking for is to see if I can see the slip tip on the other side of the fish, completely out, toggled. And you can tell if it looks thin or not. You can see a little amberjack following this fish up. But this is what James is asking me right now. He's like, do you want a second shot? And the fish didn't roll enough to where I could see it. It turned out that the slip tip was fine. It was completely through. It toggled just right.
Get ready just in case it looks good.
But if you're ever in doubt and you know you got a buddy there, better safe than sorry. Might as well put that second shot in. Like I said, this one ended up being fine, but you never know. I've seen people lose fish just feet away from their hands.
The elusive wahoo. On this side here.
Oh, good duty.
Dude, when you're not paying attention is when they swim up. Yeah. I was like, hey James, look at this crab on my shoulder. And like we're playing with the crab and I turn around, there's a wahoo on the surface looking at us. Well, the gun works. Go in the splash well, let them bleed out a little bit. Yeah, baby.
There you go, man.
8 hours later.
Oh, hey.
Sorry.
James, nice work. Oh, yeah. Good luck, Tom. Got lucky out.
Dude. Hold on to that, man. We haven't seen wahoo for 8 hours. He jumps in twice. We see him both times.
Dude, stay in the water. I want to shoot one.
What a series of events. So I try not to be superstitious when it comes to fishing, and there's certain things that happen that just make fishermen these crazy, superstitious, just ridiculous human beings. We all are. So we've been out here for about 8 hours, have not seen a single wahoo. James has been driving all day. Me and John have been in the water floating. And something about, after a certain point, you're like, we need to change something. Something's not working. Let's change something. So we're like, hey, maybe if James hops in instead of John and we swap it out, we'll see a wahoo. Well, James was in the water for 30 seconds. I'm not kidding. 30 seconds, 2 swim by, wouldn't pay us any mind. Set back up on another drift. Me and James hop in again, and a wahoo swims up right behind us. We're playing with a crab that was on my shoulder, and a wahoo swims up right behind us. Just, anyways, hard to believe. Wow, adrenaline's still pumping. Been out here, what time is it? It's 4. Actually, we've been out here 9 hours. And that's what happened. So the gun passes, again, this was for R&D. The gun passes the accuracy test. It passes the wahoo test. Thank you, John, for making an awesome gun.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So mission accomplished. We've got dinner. Because we're out here, we're maybe gonna do a couple more drifts, but that's probably it for out here. We're gonna get this thing iced, and because we got it. Oh yeah, I'll hold it. Because we got it, we'll maybe cook something up with it.
It just went off.
That's okay, it's just the screen times
Okay.
out. I'm gonna cut my hand wide open. Patience. I am thrilled with the gun. Never gets old. So they decided to hop in for one more drift. They were in the water 10 minutes and one showed up. It's just crazy how it can turn around that fast. We've been out here all day. Haven't seen anything until the last hour. We've seen 4. John's hooked up right now on the reel gun, so we'll see what happens. On the reel gun, baby.
How you doing that?
Hold him up. Get a side shot of him.
Let me get this line out of my.
Get clear on the snorkel. Whew. Great success. Woo. So pretty neat. John brought down 2 prototypes. We were able to land a Wahoo with each of them. It doesn't really get any better than that. I mean, what a fun day. This is my job. We're doing a little R&D. Got to shoot some Wahoo. Both guns successfully did their job. So they're finishing up one more drift. We were hoping to get James one too, but 2 Wahoo in the boat, you really can't ask for a better day. So I think we are done out here. So we're going to talk about the guns we were shooting a little bit. As I said, I was in there editing and I realized we didn't even really mention the guns at all. So we'll go over kind of the specs and kind of the thought process. Maybe you guys are interested or you just wanted to know. So we wanted to finish out, because obviously I sell 2 other guns. If you're new to the channel, we do offer spear guns that we sell. They're manufactured by Spearfishing. We have a shorter, shallow water, dirty water hole gun, and then a mid-range reef gun. And Key West is so well known for Wahoo, and it's one of the things we do most commonly in the wintertime, so we did want to build a Wahoo gun. So this is what we came up with. I wanted something small enough that it's still trackable and manageable, and it handles well in the water, and it could be an entry-level gun, but big enough that it can make the shots. It can handle the Wahoo. You saw in the video, we shot at 2 Wahoo, hit them, shot stuck just fine. There was enough power. My fish, the shaft went plenty through it, and it was a great shot. So these guns definitely did their job. Specs. So it's total length, it is 62 inches. Band stretch, it is closer to 50, depending on where exactly you measure from the tab to the bands. A gun's range is determined by its band stretch, not its length. So if I have 20 inches of stock behind the trigger, that's useless space. So just so you know, if you're ever shopping guns, a gun's range is determined by band stretch, not the total length of the gun. So 62 inches, 3 bands. We have a 5/16 shaft, double wrap, rigged for breakaway. I prefer breakaway for Wahoo. You can do it on a reel. You saw John did it on a reel. I normally shoot 1 or 2 Wahoo a year on a reel, and that's only enough for me. It is fun. It's a little more of a challenge, but the safer way, in my opinion, especially if you're new, is with a float line and a float rigged breakaway. But this is the gun we came up with. It's really nice. Sits in the water really nice. It's perfectly ballasted. One of my main concerns with guns is how the bands lay. I'm very particular. I like the bands to lay flat, not be stacked up and sitting on top of each other. It obstructs your view. Because by aiming these, we're just holding it and looking down the gun. It doesn't have a sight or anything. So you want the bands to lay nice and flat, which they do. And it turned out great. I can't take credit for these. When it comes to making these guns, I've spent so much time in the water over the years. I know what it is that I like. And I relay that over to John, and John works his magic. If you're not familiar with John, Spearfishing, he's been making guns since forever. The first gun I actually bought, like saved up and bought a nice one, was a Koa, and I think it was in like 2009 or 10 maybe, and he had already been making guns, I believe, for like 5 years. So he's been making guns forever. I think he's, in my opinion, and I'm maybe a little biased, but I think he's one of the premier gun manufacturers on planet Earth. But yeah, John is the master behind all of these creations. Like I said, I give him my specs that I prefer, and he comes up with these beautiful pieces of art. So, but this was our first prototype. I think he wanted to change the shape a little bit after he saw them in the water. He wanted to scale them down a little. He feels that he can take a little more off of it. So we're going to make a few adjustments. It'll probably be a few months before these are available. His main thing, he always says, is mass eats recoil. So you want enough gun that there's not a crazy amount of recoil when you shoot it, but it's small enough that it still does track well and it's maneuverable in the water. And I think this gun is perfect. I'm not a huge fan of taking Hail Marys. I like responsible, a little more conservative shots. I think Hail Marys, you're really increasing your risk of tearing out of a fish, and you know how I feel about that. So that's why we didn't build a 70-inch gun with 4 bands. We want something that can still make the shot, still small enough and maneuverable, like I said, but it'll get you there. And as in the video you saw, it did. But yeah, if by chance you are interested in one, maybe leave me a comment, let me know. We're still a few months out from making a batch of them, but I'd be curious to know if you are. That way I just kind of get a ballpark of how many we make. I don't want to make a ton of them if there's not going to be a ton of them that sell, but yeah, that is all I have. This is, like I said, this is a gun we came up with. 62 inches, 3 bands, love it. Shot straight, shot perfect. I hit a Cero mackerel at like 15 feet, and the Cero mackerel is about that tall, so that's pretty darn good in my opinion. But yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to get to them. It's been hard nowadays, but I'm doing my best. Oh, and something else, I mentioned it in the video, but just in case you didn't see it, John has a YouTube channel, Koa Spearfishing. I'll put a link in the description for it and in a pinned comment. He's starting a new series. Up until now, he's mainly just been doing educational videos trying to answer customer questions, but he's starting a series called Wood to Water, which I think is awesome, and he's going to show the entire build process. Some of the footage from this episode will be over there too. He's going to film the entire build process of building these guns all the way up to bringing them in the water, testing them, and actually harvesting fish with them. So if you enjoy the building aspect side of things and seeing behind the scenes, he's got some pretty cool footage, and I'll throw up maybe a little sneak peek up after the end of this video, and you can see what he's talking about. He's got an amazingly impressive workshop. Like I said, the guy's been building guns forever. But yeah, that's all the information I have. That was a lot of talking. I'm gonna go sit down. I'm done for the day. And I will see you guys in the next one. I appreciate it. Later.